Hey, Soraya, how's it going?
Hey, Jeff. All right. Let me see. We're post-holiday into December,
Yes,
marching our way down through the last days of 2020.
the last days.
Ooh, I made it funny.
You, you made it funny. So please tell our listeners what we're going to be talking about today.
So today we've got the most specialist of guests. We have on today Joe Nolte and Vitus Mataré of the Lost to talk about the Lost album. Look again, which was recently re-released on Fat Possum Records. 40 years, right?
Yes.
40 years after it was originally recorded. But it's a beautiful remastering, everything. And I know, Jeff, you can't wait to get started, so let's just do it. Hi, this is Soraya.
And this is Jeff,
Our podcast is called Paisley Stage Raspberry and Rhyme.
a podcast where the two of us play music that we like and share anecdotes and background about the tunes.
We hope you'll join our conversation. And without further ado, a grooviar.
Let's get groovy.
Till you can't find a balance. I'm gonna put this down.
Okay, so Soraya, are we all set?
We're set.
All right. Well, we are very excited because as you were mentioning, Soraya, we have two very special guests. Do you want to remind our listeners from a minute ago?
Sure. So we have joining us today the one and only Joe Nolte and also the equally exclusive Vitus Mataré, both of them together today with us to talk about
God help you all.
this beautiful piece of vinyl.
Oh, it looks really good on the screen. Those graphics translate.
Look Again, which has been recently released for the first time, but 40 years after the fact.
Yeah, so we have a few questions for both of you. On our episode number 73, which was a few months ago, we had a couple special guests on with Tom Stevens of the Long Riders and Lena Letonois from Peer Group. They came on our show because they are equally hardcore fans as the two of us are. And we were talking about the album. And at that time, there was no release for it. It was just something that was recorded many, many, many years ago and we were waiting for, and here we are. In fact, I just came from my mailbox that has this. So I want to do like a 1 minute unboxing to see what's inside this box, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, the suspense is killing me because other people are not getting the 7-inch even though they ordered the initial special pressing. And some people didn't get the lyric sheet. I'm hearing about all this stuff. Yeah.
All right, well, let's
Yeah,
see.
we just ordered a copy and didn't get a. Actually, though, there haven't been a lot of other complaints, so hopefully these are isolated.
Maybe everyone's a special edition. Who knows?
Well, inside my
That's true.
box.
Yeah, we sure.
All right.
So I got this in my box, and I got this. So Soraya opened hers up, and it looks like she had all the goodies in there.
Yeah.
So real quick.
Wow, he's really pro. He's got that opener for his.
I buy a few albums, so we got the little hype sticker on there.
Yeah.
And then here's the back for those that are watching. Some will be listening. And then the cover is absolutely gorgeous. And inside,
I don't know if I can go that far. No, Don did a great job. But still me.
so download card with a code that I'm covering up because I'm going to download the sucker.
Ah.
And then, as Soraya was showing me earlier, this really cool picture, which we'll talk about in a bit, and lyrics. Yay! And then this gorgeous blue swirl vinyl. Look at that.
Bowling.
Gorgeous. And then, of course, this trifold insert that comes with it. I love this with the band's logo on it. Some gig pictures.
Yeah.
And then all kinds of photos and background which I haven't obviously had a chance to look through. And lastly, this edition comes with a single. Yay! All right, so we have some questions, don't we, Soraya?
Quite a few. So Jeff, I think I want to start out with, and this, Joe, I want to direct this question to you. Can you let our listeners know why Look Again did not come out in 1980?
Well, there goes the rest of the interview. Yeah. I'd like to point out, how historians, use like personal recollections as probably the most reliable source, which is, of course, idiotic because as studies have shown that memory, like everything gets refiled after your first good night's sleep. So recollection after 24, 36 hours is ridiculous. Vitus and I have gone one better. We will typically start diverging our recollection from each other within 10 minutes.
Okay.
Which is why it's good that we're both on. We can.
There are moments where we're seeing that perhaps the same thing, but we thought it was completely different. What you saw and what I saw. Please proceed.
All right.
Yes. It makes it more fun. Trying to remember which one of us has a deaf right ear and which one has a deaf left ear. But anyway, sorry. Let me do this real quick. Basically, I personally approved the choice of producers and companies because we were doing the album on spec, and I made a mistake in my choice because we ended up with people that were not receptive to what we wanted to do, including not even letting us touch the mixer, which kind of defeated our purpose. I kind of hogged a lot of the production during LA Explosion, so I owed Vitus one. And so he was supposed to go nuts with this one. And instead, he was sort of like, prohibited from doing almost anything. And anyway, we did not have control. And what we ended up with was just a really bad mix. And it was, nevertheless, we attempted to sell it to every label in town and got nowhere. And by the end of 1980, we realized it was dead in the water. And we started looking for people to blame. And suddenly we'd had a functioning, sort of hierarchy that had, worked for a number of years. But now suddenly the last wasn't working. And so everybody had their own idea on what was wrong and what needed to be fixed and how to fix it. And they were all completely different. And we started looking for scapegoats and firing them one by one. My brother Mike being the first casualty in November of 1980. At which point we stopped playing for 6 months while we tried to find somebody who could sing just like Mike. Yeah, we were smart guys. So basically the other thing that happened as a result of this mess was that the record just, nobody wanted to put it out. And so it just didn't come out. And it took me a while because I was going through self-deception for several months. Oh, this is great. This is fine. No, really. And gradually, of course, privately, I'm realizing you're not fooling anyone. And so as time went by, of course, we had less and less interest in putting it out. And yes, that's why it never came out.
Huh. Well, that begs the question for me, and I'll direct this to you, Vitus. 40 years later, so from 1980 and here we are in 2020, it gets released November of 2020. Why now for this album?
I can't tell you how it started, but it was something between Joe and Randall Wixson that there was an opportunity to put it out. And immediately this argument broke out. What version? A new version that no one's certain of, or put out the old test pressing version? And I was the one that insisted on going back to the reels. And the reels were partially decayed. It was a particular tape stock where the magnetic film comes off of the Mylar backing. So it had to be baked very carefully. And then as it was transferred, there are all kinds of issues with dropout and the like. That all had to be restored. Boring process, but we did it. And the first mixes were not very exciting because we tried to recreate what was on the test pressing first, have a bass line. And we came to find that all the signals were bad. And this is why the mixes sounded so terrible. I could go into the technical part of that, but Joe and I went back and forth with this recording engineer, producer by the name of Johnny Bell at Jazz Cats. The guy's awesome. And we just kept working through these reels until he kept coming up with better and better stuff. And those last mixes, basically, he threw in everything that was on there. These were all things that Joe already had planned, extra vocal tracks, doubling of guitars. They were supposed to be subtly put together. And we gave instructions to the guy recording it at the very beginning. There's two guitars here, one's on the left, one's on the right, but the echoes are going to be reversed, so it works as a stereo thing. He just ran one guitar up the middle. No amp signals were used in the mixing of that first version. We recorded the amp and the guitar. The amps were recorded really badly. The guitars were recorded direct. Direct injection guitar was what was used on that test pressing. And at the time, we had pretty awesome amplifiers and stuff, but none of that shows through in the recording. A farfisa is like the lamest little instrument, and it was plugged right into the console and just sit there and squeak, spaghetti western beep kind of keyboards. So Johnny Bell had to work through all of that, and he actually went out and got the Marshall amplifier that Joe used to use and the Hammond, thing that I used to use, and run the instrument tracks back out to those amplifiers, re-record them, and then put them into the mix and fix all these things. There was also an issue with a noise gate that cut out every few snare hits on the drum kit. So we had to go in surgically and fix the level of different drum hits because the gentleman that recorded the drums was very inexperienced and used a gate to shut off certain signals, but they were triggering wrong and nobody fixed it during the entire session, which kind of cut all the drive out of that record. As Johnny Bell worked through it without using any digital samples, he used only the original recordings, but he would actually take the next snare hit, duplicate it, and move it back in where the snare hit had been muted by some piece of electronics in the original recording. So, that's a long story there, but slowly reworked it to a point where now it's worth listening. And it's not about making the most awesome sounding record. It's the first record was so bad that you couldn't tell how excellent the songwriting was, because there were some key songs on there that were the best things the last had. And those songs have been re-recorded by Joe in the last, and there's really great versions out there. But it was so nice to restore the original recordings.
100%. And Joe, how did Fat Possum become involved as the label for this release?
This is great. Okay, just as I was going to actually fill in a couple of blanks for Vitus, but I could say just off the top of my head that that would be a question for Randall as far as that.
Okay.
But I could say as far as how it started, actually, my wife who wants to pretend she doesn't exist right now. My wife had said, you guys really ought to, you ought to think about trying to do Look Again, like through Burger Records.
That was the end of Burger right there.
Yeah.
So that explains it. That's why Burger went down.
Yeah, we killed him. That was a stroke of luck, because what happened was my original idea was, let's get the thing out. And I'd been trying to get the thing, the original tapes burned for decades. I had been talking to Greg Shaw in 2003 about doing that. And I had a very long email that I sent to him regarding Look Again, because we were like talking to each other like daily. And my whole email program crashed. And then I found out later that was the night he died. So that kind of killed that idea. So I was like of a mind to just let's just, put it out quick just so that it finally gets out. Vitus was adamantly opposed to that idea. Thank you, Vitus. We are forever, it is thanks to Vitus, it turned out as good as it did. And Randall, of course, found Fat Possum to be a lot more agreeable in terms of what we would ultimately like to do, which would be to have the booklet, to have the special care and treatment. And of course, Burger Records ended up going belly up a few months ago. So that was fortuitous that we didn't stay with them. Was there anything else that I was going? Oh yeah, so that's kind of, Randall just had knew about Fat Possum already, and so was they just worked. What I wanted to add, oh yeah, it's like the stuff that Vitus was referring to, the extra guitars and voices. I was led to believe at the time that a lot of those tracks had not been kept, which, as it turns out, was because somebody wanted to hurry up and get us out of the studio. Right, have done with it, get us out of the studio. The producer's idea was, oh yeah, it'll be just like you guys are live. We'll have all the guitar on one channel and then all the keyboard on the other channel.
Right. And then we'll lock the control room door so they can't come in here and fool with the mix.
Yeah, exactly, which is pretty much what happened. Yeah, it was absolutely insane, inane, and absurd, and that's why it didn't come out. It's a miracle. First, it's a miracle that the stuff didn't get wiped, and basically my instructions, because Johnny had said, yeah, we got extra tracks, but I think they appear to be duplicates. I said, ooh, try running something with all of them in there, and actually, we have at least one track that shouldn't have been in there that ended up on there, which I haven't said anything about because it's just too much fun. I did a little piano piece. I don't know if you remember that, Vitus, for Everybody Had It. I had some ideas and just did like a demo, like a run through. It was kind of sloppy, and at the end, the producer said, "I'm sure we can work that in," and I think we all knew he was lying. But Johnny put it in, and it is in the mix. So cool. we've got me playing piano on one song, but basically it's like all. So it was a miracle when Johnny did restore those tracks to discover that there were extra vocal harmonies and extra guitar bits that were what I intended. It's kind of extraordinary to hear something you thought was lost for the first time in 40 years. And to hear that, for the first time, this is what we wanted to do.
Wow.
This is how we wanted it to sound.
Wow. We actually wanted to go through the tracks, but before we did that, I had a quick question about the album cover. Whose idea is this? So it looks like it's you, Joe, probably singing a love song, I'm guessing.
You could tell it's a very soft ballad. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's me in mid scream. I've always been kind of ambivalent to that photo. Vitus has always liked it. I blame Vitus.
Yeah, I really like that photo because it has the intensity of the live set, and while the records sound very pop to most people, there's a whole nother edgy side to the band that often got lost. It certainly got lost during the LA Explosion sessions. And somehow we didn't manage to really bring that back in during Look Again. It did creep in during Painting Smiles on a Dead Man. But that photo to me just, commemorates what the band was about live energy-wise. I thought it was great to have that on the front cover.
Nice. It looks amazing.
I would say that the hard edge actually did come through, and especially Vitus' song Snake in the Grass and in Jungle Book. And I think possibly one or two others, but I definitely think the edge of the band is certainly way more there than it was during LA Explosion. LA Explosion, we had a producer who we loved dearly, John Harrison, great guy, but he hated distortion. He was the original bassist for Hawkwind, so go figure. Yeah. But he could not stand distortion. Vitus will recall we had a 3 hours booked at Media Art in Hermosa that we did nothing except argue because he brought a perfect amp for we were going to do the distorted guitar sessions, get all the distorted guitar mixes, and the engineer wasn't having it. Yeah, we basically, it's like it came down to, if we want to make the album, we kind of gotta let him have his way and go for clean. So that was.
He had his reasons. He'd seen us live as a sloppy, very noisy, very distorted outfit. And it became his goal that if someone played this record he was producing for us, that the songs would stand out rather than the chaos. And he was successful and a great guy. I mean, that was one of the best experiences recording with John Harrison. But that's the record we're talking about today. We're going to fix this next. We're going to fix that one.
Oh, on that subject, Vitus, I'm coming around to the idea of doing that next.
Okay, I'm totally with you on that.
I think just based on what we were able to do, um, with just like what Johnny was able to do to the existing tracks, I'm thinking that the mixing choices that we had to make back in '79 might not be the same ones if if the sounds were improved. And I wanted to point out there is bass on LA Explosion.
Yes.
David Nolte did play bass on the whole album. You can't tell from listening to
Yes.
it, but there are bass tracks. They do exist.
Yeah, it's a funny sounding record, and it captures a certain moment. I think some people will be disappointed to hear the way we're probably going to come up with something that's the way that we actually intended to play it or actually played it, because the band never sounded like those recordings on LA Explosion. That was a fabrication in the studio, but you sure can hear the songs. The harmonies are there, the melodies are there, but it's not a rock and roll band playing at all. So we might get a chance to fix that, actually mix it the way that it was recorded.
Wow, you're hearing this, Soraya?
Dude, I'm writing it down, so it's committed to memory
Well,
now.
I'll be successful.
I like that. I'm hearing it. We're here for it. So, all right, Jeff. Should we walk through
Yes.
the tracks?
Yes, let's do that.
You ready to do that?
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's go. Side A starts with a song written by Joe Nolte, "Lies."
It was a Friday night and you were walking late. She called and said she couldn't wait. And when you just stood there without a thing to say, a million other voices rushed into your night in the dark. You heard them say, another night and another day of fun and frustration, tears and regret. Forever you will hold a memory of the lies, 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 and you don't look now. I think it's true. Lies, lies.
Now, we want to walk through all of these, and something that that Jeff notices is how things are placed. And what we found really interesting is side A, side B. There are 3 songs by Joe, 2 by Vitus on both sides. That's symmetry.
Yeah.
Except on side B, there's also one cover, which we'll get to. But we thought that was interesting, just an observation. So we want to start with side A, "Lies," written by Joe Nolte. And we're just curious if there's anything you want to add for our listeners, any anecdote about this song in particular.
Let's see.
Either one of you?
Vitus, do you have anything?
Well, Mike sings it, as I recall. That's one thing. It's starting off the album with something that Mike is singing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was the song that we usually started the set with for us. And it was a good song to figure out your levels, right? Because it came in with guitar, bass, and drums. The guitar wasn't prominent. And then you could kind of fade up the keyboard till everything sounded right on stage. That's all I remember. Live was the song to get adjusted to.
Yeah. Yeah, right. 'Cause we'd go in and we'd have to get to each club, like the Whiskey and Starwood, et cetera, hours early to do a sound check. And it would have been for nothing because all the levels are completely different by the time it was time to play. So it's like, and typically there'd be somebody different at the board.
Guaranteed.
So, yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lies was it was a good opener because it's a fake out. I love fake outs, and it starts with a little quiet guitar. I love doing that, and then the drums proceed to take you straight down to hell where all the good stuff happens. It was actually a true story. I was working at a burger place in El Segundo in '78, and this teenager who worked there had gotten stood up because he had to work late and the girl wouldn't wait for him, and so for some ungodly reason I ended up turning that into a song, which I think I actually debuted acoustically for them a couple weeks later, and an entirely illegal party, which is probably more than I should have said. But yeah, that's about it for that one.
All right. So what about track number 2, another Joe Nolte pinned track, and That's Just Life.
People turn their heads to me, happens all the time. The only shoulder blades I see every single time. Yes, I ought to know by now, just not wanting anyhow. One more cup that don't allow, like some me around. I don't mind, that's just life, and it's alright. It's the only one I know.
Any thoughts, you guys, on this one?
Well, it was one of the really energetic tracks live. It's probably my favorite song on the record. And in terms of what it's about, only Joe can tell you. But I love the attitude in that song.
Okay. We were at the Whiskey. We had played, so it would have been, the song was written in February of 78, so it must have been one of those January shows. And I'm sitting, it's after we played, I'm standing in the crowd, watching whoever, and the current drummer for the Germs is right in front of me, and he's like a little skinny guy, and he's jumping up and down with a band and enjoying himself. Unfortunately, there's an 800-pound biker directly behind him. And so I'm watching it going,
You picked him up and weighed him.
yeah. It was, I just kind of, so it didn't look like it was going to end well. Anyway, the kid keeps jumping and bumping into the guy, and the guy's just steaming. It's like that one guy in Gimme Shelter, who's just like, he was just like, he was working himself up. He wanted to get good and mad. And then he finally reaches his arm back, to swing, and so I just grabbed his arm. I wasn't smart. And he turns and looks at me with this look of, are you crazy? And God knows what would have happened, but at that point, a couple of bouncers grabbed me and threw me out, which belatedly I realized was for my own good, saved my life, I'm sure. But at the time, I was just furious. Wait, I wasn't the problem. That other guy was. Why didn't they throw him out? Yeah, I wasn't smart. Anyway, so I immediately wrote That's Just Life. It's all about getting thrown out of the Whiskey.
Wow. So I think you're referring to Don Bowles, the drummer for the Germs, right?
Probably, yeah. The names have started running.
It was Don Bowles. It was Don Bowles.
It was Don Bowles? Okay, good.
All right. So next track, right, Soraya?
Then next one is, sorry, I have to correct myself. On side A, there are 4 tracks by Joe, 2 by Vitus, but on side B, it was 3 and 2. Sorry. Third, Joe Nolte penned track, Obsession.
Once in a dream, a time, long years ago, I recall. I stood before a while, a stone and bricks cracked with the years, and I swore to free them all. For it lay between me and someone, a girl I had never seen. Once that was me, watching and waiting, that was my dream till I found you.
Good song. Really good song.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
100%.
That was a lot of the looking. Okay, the first 2 were from 78. This one, as a few others, was actually written to order. It's like, oh crap, we're doing an album and we don't have enough songs. It's it's just one of those things. So I had to just I had this old fake Dylan song, which 3 days out from civilization, you know the tune. I was young, I know I was a hound beneath the moon. So I say, I'll be going away, etc., etc. Anyway, never went anywhere. And so I just completely rewrote it, turned it into a ballad, and boom, obsession.
Nice. Boom.
I just love that. Yeah, I had this fake Dylan song. Boom, here, obsession.
That-
Brilliant.
That's how you write a song.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That's how you do it. That's how you do it, folks.
No better motivation than crap. I need a song.
All right, Vitus. So your first track on Look Again, and Joe noted that this was one of the songs that he feels that shows the band with some power. Can you tell us about Snake in the Grass?
Well, it was about the division between pop bands and what was punk rock, becoming hardcore and thrash, and it was all good, except that there was sort of an attitude that crept in, as you guys are the skinny tie band, right? The Last is a skinny tie band. You guys don't play these things. Oh, you have a show with Black Flag and Fear. You're gonna get eaten alive. Well, that's not the case. We did just fine, thank you. So there was this, line in the sand that somehow we're no longer supposed to cross it. But I think we were there longer than that whole thing. We lived through it. We were part of that start to finish. And this song is about, for those people that didn't realize that, yeah, we can jam pretty hard too if we want us to.
Indeed. Oh, and Soraya, if I may jump in here real quick, we were talking earlier with us being prominently a Paisley Underground podcast. We wanted to mention that the Last, we've found out by doing this podcast, were hugely influenced on every single one of the bands. In fact, we learned that Steve Wynn wanted to join the band, wanted to join the Last. David Roback wanted to be a member of the Last. Sue Hoffs wanted to be a member of the Last. Yeah. Michael Quercio comes to see the Last and then starts up Salvation Army, being motivated by seeing you guys. So we call the band the godfathers of the Paisley Underground. And I think there was another quote that we took from our first talk with Joe. What was that about the Paisley Underground and referring to Joe?
Joe Nolte told our listeners in our first interview with him that the Paisley Underground is also known as the "Fuck You, Joe Nolte" Underground.
I think I made it up at that moment, but yeah.
All right, so let's go to the next track. Sorry about that.
All right, so Vitus, the next track on this side is also penned by you. Should I say a word? Just Another Girl.
I saw her yesterday. I fell in love. I've seen her many times before. And close my eyes, I want to see some more. Disappears like grains of sand that pop up here no matter where I am. I see her walking by. I feel my heart beats around me, blood rushes round me. Never take my eyes off her. If only I could have a word with her. Never could I speak out loud. She disappeared into a crowd. Girl, just another girl, just another girl, just another girl. Tried so hard to convince myself, now that never would. That's just what I tell myself. Don't believe a word, just another girl.
Well, this was not intended to be a song. This is recorded to be recorded in little pieces and distributed, like on a Todd Rundgren record, as transitions between the different songs. And it just never got around to it. The album's not structured that way. We left it as one tune, but it's not really arranged to work that way. and Joe salvaged it by putting a little scoffing in the middle of it. But it's just a chopped up bit. It's supposed to be something that reappears as a theme between the other songs.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so that was the original intention.
Yes, that was my intention.
Oops. Sorry.
It's all right. We'll chop up one of your songs and put it in little pieces.
All right, so that brings us to the last song on side A, and we return to Joe's song, and this is with Difference.
The day I first saw you, the day I realized I was in love with you. I would not have believed that it would be the last I'd ever seen of you. You told me I was not like all the rest. You said I had a difference. You drove into the night, and I believed, though I did not know what you meant. A dream you told me you had waited for a year to fill your dream. And then we let it slip away like dreams do, like the other dreams I've seen. I know I should have called, I should forget. I know some people could forget. Yeah, but some people never dream. But with a little difference, you look within. And I saw, and I saw, and I saw you.
Joe, do you have anything to talk about with this particular song?
I could easily give you an hour on Difference. But let's see. Yeah. Come the 17th refers specifically to March 17th, 1979. Some songs I wrote quick. I'm trying to think of a good example, but I mean I've got songs that I wrote like as basically as long as it takes to play the song, it just all came out. And Difference took, I think, about 6 to 9 months.
Wow.
And Difference was originally, I was working on like 3 different songs, and none of them were quite what I wanted. March 17th, there was going to be a big show, which was going to be at Elks Lodge downtown. And it was the show. It had a lot of bands, Go-Go's, etc. But it was set up for the Alley Cats because they were going to be recorded live for a major label. I want to say A&M, but I'm not positive. And so it was like a big deal. A lot of people showed up,
Okay.
and so did the LAPD. And basically, it was shut down before the Alley Cats even got to play. But it turned into a punk rock riot with kids getting billy clubbed, people being sent to the hospital. Nobody died, as far as I know, but it was absolute madness. And that same night, a good friend of mine, actually Jeffrey Pierce, the author of Jungle Book, had just left LA, as far as we knew, for good to move to New York, where the action really was, right? Right. So he had just left. I was bummed about that. And there was a girl I had my eye on, and I got the news at the beginning of the evening that she didn't want any part of me. And so I'm nursing a broken heart, and here come the cops. And that's what I needed to finish the song. So I took I took a lot of one song, which is kind of like the verses of difference, and I took the best parts of the other two, threw them all together, and it still took me until I think Memorial Day to actually finish the final words, because I knew it was going to be good and I wanted to get it just right, but it was still a little weird, so I played it for Vitus. And I said, I don't know if we should even try this one. I think it's too weird. What do you think? Um, and Vitus, you remember that?
Vaguely, yes. I rather liked it. I thought it was good. It was like the things we wrote when we started writing songs together, or songs for each other. There were all these parts. It was progressive stuff, and then we were suddenly back to that with difference.
Yeah, Vitus actually was very encouraging and said, "No, you got to do it. It's great." And okay, and the parts for the first song that I had left over actually became "Look Again," which was also written because we needed a song for the album.
One thing I love about you two, I don't know if you guys can work together in a band setting, but you guys are very complimentary of one another, and it seems like you guys definitely know how talented each other are, and I really respect that about the two of you.
Everything's fine until it plugs in that damn guitar.
All right, Soraya, side 2.
So then we flip it over and we start out with a Vitus track, Everyone's a Holiday.
Everyone's a holiday. Hop right up and pass away. Never see another face. Slip away without a trace. World's on fire, and now we don't ask why. Your world's on fire, burning you.
Yeah, I can't tell you really what it's about, but all things must pass. Not exactly the George Harrison interpretation of that theme. And that was written to be a pop song more than anything else. And I wanted to have like this loop of stuff going. I was into running loops of tape around, chair legs and stuff, and trying to play along with that. I was doing my easy listening experiments and things, and poor Joe would receive these cassettes of whatever I'd done. And he managed to fit a few of them into the set and a few of them into this album. And Everyone's a Holiday is one of them, and so is Subway Song. They're both from my little experimental tapes with loops and stuff.
Wait, so you're physically putting tapes around legs of chairs?
Yeah. Well, I would play a little riff and snip it down and loop it around stuff and then run it past the tape head. Yeah, you have to spool it over the reel with the motor running on it. And I would play along to that. Or I would just take the same part and record it, over and over, duplicate it, and splice them together, put together a chorus that had all the little loops and have that splice the verses in between. Yeah, I had lots of fun with that. Now you can do it with just hitting something on your keyboard in Pro Tools and it's done, right?
It's not the same.
But back then, it took a razor blade and some tape and a lot of patience, a little bit of blood. It was kind of messy.
Wow.
Some of the accidents were the best part of it, though. We don't get those experiences now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing I think is missing out of music today, recordings today. So Subway Song, same thing you said?
Same thing, yeah. It's one of the what I call the easy listening experiments. I had a goal of doing about 12 of these, putting them together somehow. But thankfully, Joe salvaged the songs that could actually be played by a band live. And that was a good one live. We had a lot of fun. It just was not a rockabilly song when it started, but it ended up that way.
Sitting on the street to get tired, but I can't sleep at night. There's a shadow hanging over me. No city sleeps at night. The sky caves in and the streets get dark. Our shadows cross the line till nothing's black and nothing's white. Zero and out of sight. City silent, full of fright. Can't keep my distance anyway.
Oh, there's a story.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
Yes.
Did I say that out loud? I used my outdoor voice. Okay. Oh no, it just Subway was a dirge initially. It was great. It was Gregorian monks, on their way to perdition. Singing bemoaning their fate. Just an amazing. That's just how it sounded to me. It's just like beautiful, and I turned it into a rockabilly song. I try to keep there's little you could hear elements, the actually one of the guitar things that we saved actually is back in there that echoed one of the musical themes that had gotten left out of the original mix. But um, yeah, I wanted to do a ska thing and I wanted to do a rockabilly thing, and I picked
You
up.
didn't want to do them to your own songs.
Yeah, I know. I ended up. Well, I did. I was out of time. Yeah, and I didn't have. I know. You're right. Actually, I'm a bad person, and I apologize.
We got this cassette of easy listening experiments. Let's ska one of these fuckers.
But yeah, so that little ska thing in the middle of should I say a word? That was fun. But yeah, I did. I rockabilly the hell out of Subway song, turned into a completely different song, really. And contrary to how difference evolved, Vitus didn't like this initially at all. And it wasn't. It wasn't until which makes sense because I had, destroyed the original song to make a new one. And it wasn't until we started doing it live and people started like saying it was the best song in the set that he said, "Oh, okay, maybe."
I wrote it, yeah.
Exactly. But oh dear, yes, perhaps I was a bit of an autocrat. That of course would be over and done with by the end of the year. But anyway.
So Vitus, you were okay with the change that Joe made to the song?
Well, at the time, I didn't think it was a good idea. I thought the song belonged in a completely different
We should do it.
thing. But
We could. Oh.
nah. But we just recorded Make Believe, by the way. I was fine with it. By the time the band was playing, we've done it live a couple times. It wasn't just that people liked it, but I was actually aware of the fact that it become kind of a rocking song. It was good.
Yeah.
It was real good.
Yeah.
Joe was right. What the hell?
Yeah. That's often the case, I'll say. All right. So Joe, up next, Everybody Had It With You.
Well, yeah, okay. And actually, this you mentioned that that cover that has difference lyrics written on a wall. That was my bedroom.
Yes.
That was in the basement of the church, the legendary Hermosa Beach punk rock hangout. And
okay.
so it's like Black Flag practiced there, Red Cross practiced there.
Soraya, you got that handy?
Yeah. Let me point out that the font is immediately recognizable as Joe Nolte's scrawl. There's no clear right like that. You know that's Joe's writing.
But,
This look like that too.
And why did I bring that up? There was a reason. Oh yeah. So when I moved in to that room, that was my bedroom. As I said, I shared it with Ron Reyes, who this is before this is right before he joined Red Cross and months before he joined Black Flag. And Ron was going through a Buzzcocks kick and was playing Buzzcocks singles like incessantly. And I, about that time, I think after hearing Lipstick about 100 times, I thought, this is a great song. And I thought, I want to write a song like Lipstick. And we needed a song. And again, it's spring of 1980. It's early spring 1980. We need songs for the album. And so I decided to come up with my own version of Lipstick. And so I came up with Everybody Had It. Contrary to popular belief, it is not about anyone or anything. It is simply a joke song. It's, the whole pun is had it, having it and having it. Ha ha. This is where my humor was back in 1980. Trying to think. Oh yeah. I had. Should I? Yeah, why not? I had a song called "Don't Go" that I wrote in '78. Again, maybe '77. No, '77 probably. That sort of like well, actually, it had a midsection that it's basically like a sort of quasi 66 teen punk rock song sort of thing. But then the middle switches to minor key and goes. So I stole that riff, and that's of course how Everybody Had It started. And so having already trashed "Don't Go," when I was writing another song, I decided to revisit "Don't Go's" verses, which began like this. I feel so bad, I wish that I was dead. If you don't know why, then think about what you said. She said, hey, and so on. So yeah,
Nice.
that's where that.
There's a good version of "Don't Go" on YouTube, and it's a Wharf Rat Night.
Are you
Music
kidding?
Machine, but we got the whole song's on. No, it's a good version of "Don't Go." It's on YouTube.
I've never seen that.
Filmed from way at the back of the hall. Don Brown just set his little camera down back by the soundboard and filmed that, and one song by each of the other bands. So check it out. It's a good version of "Don't Go." Yeah, you won't recognize it.
Undoubtedly.
All right, so then Vitus, I want to ask this question to you. Fourth track on this side is Jungle Book, which is a Jeffrey Lee Pierce song. So how did the decision to bring in a cover come in?
There's two different stories here.
Okay, I'll take at least one.
Okay, I was playing with Jeff Pierce, who needed a drummer also, and Jack Reynolds was playing drums for him. And we did not record with him, but we played a gig with him, and he retained Jack to play on other stuff too. I just wasn't available, didn't have enough time. And I later got involved with producing the Gun Club and recording Gun Club stuff. But that song had been around, was on that demo that I had nothing to do with. And Fast Freddy got everybody in town into that song, including Joe. And it's the first song that I learned to play on guitar, because Jeff sat me down at the the Gazzarri's one night and showed me all the chords to it, which I still play it the way that he taught me. But I was into the song. Joe thought I wasn't into it, but I was into it. And I was thrilled that we picked it. And there were a few shows where Jeff would come on stage and sing it, including at that place in Culver City, whatever that huge place was where he played with the Plugs and Plimsolls and Mutants and somebody else. But that song was great live. It had suspense in it. And it was just nice to bring that in, because it was a completely different style of writing than what Joe was doing at that moment. And I would never be able to write a song like that. So I was thrilled that it was on there, and it is the highlight of the record. And the delivery that song gets in that recording is great. And all the other versions, I think, that are out there, there's many versions of it, they don't really capture the song. I think the last version is actually the definitive version, to quote Gary Stewart, of that song.
Under the light, dark parking lot alive. Somebody screaming, yelling into the night. And babe, I don't know if he's talking to God or what. I don't want anything, just keep it shut. Under the light, and dark parking lot lights. I look up and see, I see the black and blue lights.
Hey, if that's just one story, I want to hear the other one too.
Well, here's how we did it. Here's how we came to do the song.
All right.
What happened was, this goes back to '78 again. Freddie played me the demo. It was a band called the Red Lights, which was Jeffrey's old band. Jeffrey Pierce, after they broke up, pretty much retired from playing music, and Fast Freddie played me this demo of Jungle Book, which they recorded, and I thought it was amazing. And that's partly I just kept pushing Freddie. I said, I got to meet this guy, and me, Freddie, and Jeffrey became inseparable drinking buddies through the rest of '78 and '79, and it was at Gazzari's, but I think it was at a. Yes, what happened was I kept bugging Jeffrey to form a new band. I said, you got to do that. And then finally I said, if you're not going to do Jungle Book, then we're going to do it. And Jeffrey agreed. And I said, okay, just write me the words. And so he, at Gazzari's one night, which for all I know could have been the same night he showed Vitus the guitar chords. At Gazzari's one night, we sat down, he wrote out the lyrics. And that was that. And after we started doing it live not too long after that. And not too long after we started doing it live, I convinced Jeffrey to come on and sing it. And so we ended up, for a while there, we were closing almost, many shows with Jungle Book. And it was great because Jeffrey would go crazy at the end, during that whole, because you don't fade out live. So what are you going to do? If you can't fade out, freak out. So we do a freak out, and basically the band would leave one by one, starting with me. I would, like at the Starwood, I would just like throw my guitar down, literally, and run up the stairs. And in, 20 seconds, I'd be at the back of the crowd watching. And I think then Vitus will go gradually, be down to just like Jeffrey screaming, "So blue, blue," and Jack would be playing on drums, and that would be it. Just kind of oh, go ahead, Vitus.
This just aside. The Trotsky Ice Pick dudes and I were going to play Leaving Train unrehearsed at whatever Cafe Nila or whatever that cafe is. I can't remember the name of the club. But Watson was there, and we just said, Tom, do you want to come up and play? We're going to do that song, Leaving Train by the Leaving Trains. You want to play on it? Yeah, sure. Okay, it's the encore. What Tom was not prepared for was that we all threw our instruments down one by one and walked off and just left them up there.
Yeah.
That's on YouTube too. He's kind of surprised that he's alone. Yeah, that was a highlight of the set. That was a great time. Also, when Fast Freddie would come on and do Push Into Hard, that was great. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It was good. And I think I talked about that once already.
Hey, those are some of the good memories of that period.
Yeah.
All right. So what about the other side, Joe?
For years you've been running my life as if I were a slave controlled by your word. Do this, do that, just started to scream, but never a sound could be heard. Just keep on with your dreaming, it doesn't matter to me, 'cause even now you're sinking beneath the heavy road. Everybody, I know, you can change the world. See your life would never wait. As the days run by, you gonna have to run and
The other side is there's two songs that don't do as much for me as the rest of the album. I shouldn't talk about things like that though. we're trying to promote how perfect it
No,
is.
that's okay. I want to hear
Okay.
about this.
For whatever reason, and I know I heard somebody's mentioned that they thought that, you know, Snake in the Grass was possibly better in the original mix, which I categorically disagree with, but to each their own. For me, That's Just Life is the one song where nothing substantial seemed to be added. And maybe it's okay. Maybe that's just because it was better than the others because of the arrangement initially. There wasn't that much that could be done to ruin it back then. But That's Just Life didn't really do anything special. I mean, it's not like it's bad, but and the other side, the other side needed some really tender loving care to do what I intended. It's supposed to be just a lot of vocals, a
Everly
lot of
Brothers.
stuff going on. Huh?
I needed the Everly Brothers treatment.
Yeah. It's it really the Everlys and Beatles and Buddy Holly and probably a couple others. Maybe the Walker Brothers. But it's because there's like 3-part harmony that all should have been at least double or triple tracked by the end of the song, where you got the as we turn to leave you, and well, anyway, there's just a lot of stuff, and we just were not able. We were kind of rushed into the version that we ended up with, and it's good. It's certainly been improved, as has everything. On the same note, well, we'll get to Weekend Girl, I imagine, but Weekend Girl, for instance, was supposed to be part of the regular album, but the mix was so bad, it was just, we couldn't bear to have it on the album. It was so bad. And now it's like one of the strongest mixes, which, goes to show if you put all the tracks on, what'll happen, But yeah, the other side, I'm happy with. The other side basically was my brothers, Mike and Dave, basically resented me for almost the entire time they were in the band, which is okay, but it gets old after a few years have gone by, and you're like, why am I doing this for them? But again, I wanted to be a nice guy, so I decided to write a song from their point of view. So the other side is my brothers singing to me. That's the whole idea, and that with and threatening that someday they'll leave me, which they have, of course, repeatedly in some cases, and and it's okay. It's just that every time I hear it, I think about what could have been, and I've actually recorded a acoustic version that does what it was supposed to do. But that's neither there, here, or anywhere. So
Okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
The acoustic version's great, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And then we end it all with another Joe Nolte tune, Look Again.
See my world. Oh, look at your world. See the days of my youth. Oh, look again. To the days of my youth I looked, and then I looked again. I really wish you knew.
amazing.
Great song.
Thank you. Appropriately enough, the Look Again was written because we needed another song. We got an album title too. I didn't even think about the fact the initials were LA at the time, but that worked out pretty good. And Look Again was was based on my current real life situation and her parents. And again, it was, and it's, I really hadn't intended to have a second opus. You know, we already had Difference on the album, but Look again started. I had the little thing that was what was left from Difference, from the thing that I tore apart for Difference. So it just wasn't, the music wasn't going to fit into a 2.5 minute song, and was going to need like 10 extra parts. So I resisted, but finally said, forget it. So, I just did. There's a few songs. There's a song called Work, which is also I, tore up and threw like half of one verse in there. So there's at least 2 other songs, possibly more. But again, we just needed another song, so I just made it.
Yeah, that's a pretty epic song to just make.
There may have been a touch of Richie Valens' influence there. Like the riff is totally a Richie ripoff. Well, homage, I should say.
Yeah. And a version of it ends up on Danger.
A version of both Difference and Look Again end up on Danger. Bill Stevenson really wanted to do those 2 songs, and as I found out, he really wanted to do them just like the album. So he pushed for that, and I let him have his way. So we kind of did it that way at that time. Yeah, how long ago was that? It was a while ago now. A decade ago, 2 decades, decade and a half. At that time, I didn't think we were really, I'd given up on Look Again. Ever. I did not think this day would ever come. Oh my God. Can I just say how delighted both Vitus and I are, as well as the people who've heard the album now, that the record has come out the way it was supposed to. It's vindication. It sounds like it was supposed to. It worked. And we're just so gassed. But anyway, I didn't think it was going to happen back then. So we ended up sort of like doing attempting carbon copies. But I think that you can't, with the new mixes, you can't beat the originals, obviously.
Yep. Yeah, to Vitus's point earlier. Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned Weekend Girl, which you can get on the 7-inch single if you order the vinyl, and it also comes on the CD, the last couple songs. So Weekend Girl there, which also came out on Painted Smiles on a Dead Man.
Regrettably so, yes.
Different version, completely different version.
Yep, and neither one is the original version, which goes back to 78 and was written right about the time Lies was, and it's almost a different song, but I'm currently, well, until the immediately pre-COVID, I was actually teaching a band the song, but yeah, Weekend Girl, kind of, we hadn't done anything with the original version, and let me see, oh yeah, we needed songs for the album. So I thought, I'm just gonna redo. I'm gonna turn this into like a Plimsolls-ish sort of like pop song, and that was deliberate because it's like the whole. I changed the focus so that it was written about a girl who was always going to, like sort of a romance that could not be, because the boy would always go to punk rock shows and the girl would always go to pop shows. And so therefore I decided to make it sort of a, to deliberately do kind of a power pop thing. So I rewrote it that way. And as I said previously, it just turned out horribly. And lo and behold, 40 years later, we were able to fix it in the mix. And for some reason, I decided to revisit it and change it around. And there's an inferior version which came out on Painting Smiles. But then again, by that time I didn't know what I was doing, so I'm pretty sure everything I did was wrong then.
As far as the actual recording, though, of Weekend Girl, that was the one where the cymbals, even the ride, would trigger the gate on the snare in John Frank's drum kit. So you couldn't play back and have all the snare hits there. It was missing every third snare beat. And it was just, the drums were all chopped up, which is one of the reasons why we just junked the mix, because it was damaged. But Johnny Bell spent a day and a half fixing each individual drum track so they wouldn't be turning on and off. This is after the tape had been transferred and it came in at different levels and going in and out of phase. All that was corrected digitally so you could actually play it back and not have it be really funky. And then fixing all the errors that were made, initially tracking the drums. The guys in the control room were not familiar with that console. They were not familiar with that room. They didn't care about our music. We were there to help them pay their part of what the studio cost because they needed to bail out of it. I think we were just, some sort of a source for a small amount of funding, and that's all they were interested in. But Weekend Girl was the one that you really couldn't even play it back, even when the tape was restored. And
wow.
The performance wasn't bad. The performance was good. But without drums, that song doesn't work at all. Yeah, and again, there's no digital samples or anything. It's John Frank's drum kit, but someone has methodically gone in and fixed each track so you can hear everything that he played.
Wow.
Yeah, that's important to stress. This is every beat, every note, everything on the album is from then.
Yeah,
it is from the original recording sessions.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering about that. I was at one time I thought you guys might have gone back in and thought about redoing some parts or adding guitar parts, but that's good to hear that.
Yeah, that's a really slippery slope. If we started down that road, it would be all over. Vitus and I would both want to change so much, I think. But there's also Fade to Black.
Sometime, anytime, anyway, way aside, I sit and I wait. Sometimes, and then the world goes by. It's hard to say.
All right. So how did this song come to be a co-write, which ended up on an EP, right? Or a 12-inch or
Yeah, a 12-inch EP.
yeah, okay.
Matter of fact.
So how did this song come to be as a co-write? I'm guessing it started with Vitus.
Right you are. It was a song called 8 After 1, and it was just a creepy little thing, but it happened to sort of mimic what's going on in this movie that Joe will tell you about, where there was a shot at having a song in the soundtrack and having a little cameo at some point in the movie, something insignificant. So we were all over that. We thought that would be great. Joe found a way to take the title of the movie and work it into that 8 After 1 thing, and perhaps make it the theme for the movie. To you, Joe.
It should have been a theme. Yeah, what happened? I'd actually been able to read the initial. The director had also written the script. The initial script, which is the one I read, had everything with a sort of like Venice Beach vibe. But I knew that he had since rewritten it and made it so to be more of a punk rock Hollywood Rocky Horror type vibe, and therefore he was looking for a suitable band. And yeah, so once again I picked on Vitus. I realized, because they would go, the song go 8 After 1, I'm here with a gun. Yeah, we're having some fun. And I thought, oh my God, I fade to black. I was thinking of you. And see, I knew the story and I incorporated probably a little bit too much into the lyrics. But so I rewrote I basically just did the lyrics, rewrote them to, to make sense, with the movie. And but the music's all Vitus. And we didn't make the cut. We got filmed for the movie. There are a couple of stills that I have in my possession, actually, from an early program, and that's about it. Although we're hoping the footage exists somewhere. There are people actually searching for this at this time for an undisclosed project.
Interesting.
Yes.
There's a trailer for Fade to Black, and we actually make our cameos snippet in that trailer.
There is?
I believe so.
Oh, I'd love to see that. I have missed that. Anyway,
seen it.
yeah.
Someone told me.
Anyway, so yeah, okay. So that would be even much better. But yeah. So they cut our scene and they decided not to go with the song. I think the reason was it was, too literal. It gave too much of the plot away. I think they decided they wanted more of a, synthesizer, boom, 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 type of thing. So, oh well. But it should have been.
We did get a credit on the movie for soundtrack material that was nowhere to be found in the film.
Yeah. I think they gave us credit for Every Summer Day, which also didn't make it, but they gave us credit. That was our little, we never saw a cent, but that was our token prize. Thanks for playing. Here's a credit.
Wow.
Whoopee.
So I have one last question before we let you guys go. Joe, you have a 12-string guitar next to you. Is there any way that we could coerce you to do one song from the album? Do you remember the lyrics to any song that you could perform for us? One of them?
Does it have to be from that album?
Well, that's the album we're talking about.
I know, but how many times I've heard it. Yeah, let's see. It's 8 After 1. Okay, wait. Okay. Save them with your plight. Oh no, you can't desert your post. A field made of granite, surrounded by the ghosts of the nightmares you with your chains and your boast. Oh no, it'll all be there if it's any. Wait, that's not right. That was something Vitus and I were working on in '75, I think, actually. It was going to be part of a long Vitus thing, which was then possibly going to be part of an even longer joint thing that I wanted to do called Spirits of '76.
Oh wow.
It's actually, we were probably working on it. Could we be working on 76? Who knows? But yeah. There's so much old stuff that in retrospect was, if people bought the stuff they did, they'll go for that. That I want to kind of bring to life while we have life. But we're talking about Look Again. So actually, I'll tell you, Vitus, do you have a request?
Yeah, sure. That's Just Life.
Thank you for not suggesting one of the long songs. Oh, I should point out that That's Just Life. Is gonna be broadcast online live tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
That's one of the two songs I did. I did two Look Again songs. I did That's Just Life and another very memorable one because I can't think of what it was. Oh! Everybody had it with you. So those are going to be on Matt Riggle's show tomorrow, which that's the one we invited you to. If you want to, if you're not doing anything tomorrow. But yeah, so that's probably, we should probably do another one just in case there's any crossover.
Okay.
Gosh, any others? I guess that was
Obsession. Such a good song.
Okay. Jeff, Soraya, you guys cool with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay. Do I remember the words?
No.
No.
You didn't remember them then. I mean.
Oh, good point. You're right. In that case. Once in a dream in time, long years ago I recall, I stood before a wall of stone and brick cracked with years, and I swore to breathe them all. For it lay between me and someone, a girl I had never seen. Once that was me, watching and waiting, that was my dream till I found you. Once in a dream I cried at the foot of the gate. I could not pass through. One Friday night I locked inside the view, but the same way too. And girl, I'd do most anything to be alright. I'd stay with you, I swear I could right to the end. I'd do most anything you say. Oh yeah, Vitus plays flute here. Once I was wise, I laughed at the very idea that I would succumb to the pain and the madness, the stuff of my dreams. Then I laid eyes on you. Now I can't concentrate, it's hard to look from day to day. The things I do for you, I don't dare even say. But that's alright because you know anyway. Now in my dreams I see you here, caressed by the winds that brought you there. See the days just die in the sunlight. Oh, 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 oh. Once I had dreams, you know. You had the same dreams too. You take that toll, but somewhere inside, something led me to you, to you. See the days just die in the sunlight, stars explode with the truth. See the days just die in the sunlight, stars explode with the truth. Doesn't matter
Play in the morning on account of you. When life tries to raise, I try to find of every of you. I
Very good.
That was awesome. So I was hearing the Vitus flute in my head.
Oh, very good. Yes. That's an important part.
Thank you very much. So for our listeners, Look Again can be found on Bandcamp and CD album with the extra single, which comes with most of the people's shipments, right?
Actually, yeah, the extra single edition is sold out.
Oh, okay.
So if you want the extra 2 songs, Weekend Girl and Fade to Black, you gotta get the CD.
Gotta get the CD.
Or actually, no, because on the album, if you get the album, the download will give you access to the extra 2 songs.
Excellent.
So actually, yeah, you're covered either way. Thankfully.
So for both of you, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for finally giving this a proper release. Yeah,
Been bugging after 40 years.
40 years. So any final thoughts from you two on finally getting this album out, Vitus?
I'm just grateful to you guys for doing this and having us on. Thank you for promoting the record, letting people know about it. And I love your show. There's so much great stuff that comes onto your program. And I love all the Paisley Underground bands. So you guys started at the right spot and you're branching out. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Vitus. And Joe, any last thoughts about Look Again finally coming out?
Yeah, again, just I'm very happy. I echo Vitus's thanks to you guys, and hopefully you'll have to have us back on next year when something comes out.
Something? Want to be more specific?
I'd like to, but honestly, we have no idea what we were doing. It's like, look, we're going to do an album, and half of it wasn't written yet. But I do think we're thinking about LA Explosion. And
very good. Well, this is extremely exciting. If this is any indication of what happened between the test pressing of Look Again and what we have here in our hands now, I can only imagine what's going to happen with LA Explosion. So, yeah, very exciting, very exciting. All right, you two, thanks again so much for coming on and coming on together. And
yes,
we really appreciate it.
We're so thankful.
All right, thank you guys.
All right,
see
bye,
you next year.
Yes,
that's right.
Cool.
We're here for you. Thanks, you guys. Take care.
Sure, you too.
All right, thank you, Joe.
Sure.
Soraya, can you believe that just happened?
No.
Oh my
God.
But
what people need to understand is the smile across Jeff's face right now.
Oh my God.
That we got both of them. We got Vitus and Joe together.
Oh my gosh.
And the fact that Joe brought his guitar and played it. Jeff is beaming. Okay.
I really am.
Now, I thought we ended in a really natural place with them, but I have this quote and I'm going to share it here because I think one of the things that you and I have talked about over time, especially every time this album in particular comes up in conversation,
which has happened quite a bit over the last
it's happened a lot, and it's the fact that there's that test pressing that somehow has gotten circulated, right?
Yep.
Where people have digital copies, or maybe they have a physical copy, cassette, you name it. But people always say the same thing about Look Again. Why? Why hasn't it been released? So when we were prepping for this episode, I found this review, and it's a fan review from 2012, okay?
Okay.
So this is what it says. It's a real pity this album has never been officially released. It is tremendous and every bit as classic as LA Explosion. 12 tracks of absolutely classic punk power pop with a slight 60s feel. Let's petition the band to get this one out there. And I think for as long as you and I, Jeff, have been friends and conversations about the last come up, this album has come up, and it's always been followed with the same question at the end. Why, how come it never got released? You know, or I wonder if they would. And there were always kind of rumblings about it, but no one ever seemed to be able to pin anything down. And then when they announced this, you would have thought, I don't know. I mean, just the minute it got not released, but like promoted on Bandcamp, and people caught wind of it, it caught everyone by surprise. And people zoomed to that pre-order, right? And then like everyone was gunning for the colored vinyl, and the colored vinyl with the 7-inch, or the CD with the extra tracks. I mean, you name it. It was really exciting to see fans get what they've wanted for so long. And then hearing Vitus walk us through what had to happen to get it, and to get it to sound the way they wanted it to. I mean, it's impressive no matter how you slice it. And it's due to tenacity, right? On Vitus's part, on Joe's part, on the band's part. And it's wonderful that they now get to give to their fans something that they've always wanted to give them, and give it to them in the way they intended. I think it's just amazing.
I totally agree. And did they just talk about on our show about giving LA Explosion the same treatment? Soraya,
Yes, they did.
That's not a dream, right?
No, that really happened, and we can roll back the tape. Joe teased it, and they discussed it here with us, which is, again, fans of the band should be jumping up and down. Like, I'm imagining Howie Cohen at this moment.
Yeah.
Probably losing his mind right now.
As am I.
I mean, but look at all the fans. We've talked to them. We've had them on. Think of that panel that we had about Look Again. How timely was that we had them on? Let's talk about this album that has really been circulated amongst fans, and now it's out there. And to have the same treatment to LA Explosion.
Wow.
Baby, that's freaking great.
And I like that they invited themselves to come back and talk about it next
Oh,
year.
heck yeah. No. Like, that's a foregone conclusion. That's happening anyways.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's really good. It's really good to hear that there's love and care put into those albums, and that the fans are going to get what they deserve. Right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And then, you know, one can dream of live shows again.
Yes.
We'll actually hear Look Again from start to finish.
Wow. That would be amazing.
I'm putting that on my, what is it that people do? What did Oprah say? Vision board?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or they say speak things into existence.
If you can imagine it, it can happen. Make it happen.
It can happen if you think it becomes it. I'm happy. I'm really happy for Joe Nolte. I'm happy for all the Noltes in the band.
All of these guys.
All these dudes. All these young dudes. And really happy for Vitus too. I mean, a lot of work went into it, a lot of care, a lot of hours, but it sounds like they're both very happy with what came out and appreciative of the support for it. And I mean, fans of the band really, really have something to be, something to hold. Can we say it's technically a new release?
I was
it was
wondering
never
about
released
that.
before.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
except by like Beth Jeffington and
Yeah.
or Beth, what is it, Beth Dreneman and Jane Doe.
Yeah.
They had copies of those things. Because
But now it's an official release. 2020.
official, and if you haven't gotten it, please go and get it. Support the band in this endeavor. I mean, you deserve it.
Yes.
If you're a fan of the band, if you're new to the band, go get it.
Yes.
If nothing, just and I love the story about the picture. I don't like the picture, and Vita says, I think that picture exemplifies perfectly the band.
Yeah.
Oh, and Jeff, did we really have Vitus and Joe on at the same time?
Yes, that was amazing. And like I mentioned earlier, I love how the mutual respect they demonstrate when they talk about each other and each other's songwriting skills.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Something I also want to mention too, and it goes along with just the fact that it's technically a new release. Lies was played recently on Rodney's show.
Oh,
November 22nd.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. So, it's good that people who were there at the beginning are still supporting them now.
Nice.
That's really good to see. And so I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I think that the last's impact on music from LA cannot be underestimated.
No. Yeah. Look, LA's early 80s scene, and look at the connection that Joe had, to garage, to punk, to pop, all of it. And, it's just good to see. It's good to see that people still love him and still want to hear from him.
Yeah, we do.
Right? We saw them in 2019.
Yes.
Right? 2019.
Right? Beginning of the year. Yeah.
I mean, mid-year. It was like May. But so they're, still playing shows, and, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be getting back to live shows again soon.
Yes.
And we'll get more of it. But hats off to the last. Hats off for this release. Great job.
Indeed.
All right, mi gente. Agrubiar.
Groove on, Paisley people.
Oh dear. Oh, he connecting and he heard me. Okay, this is gonna be volumed up quite a bit because I can't hear. Helmut.
I gotta hide.